Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, they finally reached the highest point, and I'm talking about the US and the so-called monolithic collective West in supplying Ukraine with whatever they want. And pretty soon they will supply them with tanks, they will supply them with airplanes. Now it's just supplying them with more artillery, including HIMARS. And it's okay to do that. The problem is it seems like the HIMARS that this supply them with missiles that are capable of reaching Crimea. And that's not something that Russians are eager to accept. So the problem always is, what are you going to do about it? Can you do anything about it? If you can't, don't even bother to talk. So in this article from Sputnik that came out today, October 5th, 2022, we have this: Pentagon. HIMARS rockets supplied to Kiev can reach Crimea. Now you know that that's a red line that the Russians drew and said, or at least they placed, and they said that should not be crossed. Okay, the question is, then what? Well, we'll see. On Tuesday, Washington announced plans to provide an additional $625 million in military aid to Ukraine, a package that includes more deliveries of high-mobility artillery rocket system M142 HIMARS. The announcement came as Russia continues its special operation to demilitarize and denazify, unquote, Ukraine. Laura Cooper, U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Russian, Ukrainian, and European Affairs, has stated that HIMARS missile systems that Washington continues supplying to Kiev, and I'm quoting, can reach the vast majority of targets, including Crimea. So remember, I have my model of the way news is pushed into us. And when they want to say something naughty, like this one, they would not have done this early in a war or invasion or military operation. Because the public was not ready. So my model of, the mountain slope, they start slowly. We're going to give them helmets, we're going to give them this, we're going to give them that, we're going to give them cars, then we're going to give them artillery, then they're going to give them HIMARS, but the HIMARS will not hit the target far more than 50 kilometers or miles. And then eventually they reach the top where they get a megaphone and tell us what they wanted to tell us at the beginning when they were here. But they didn't. They got us ready for what? Now 7 months, to tell us that they will provide them with whatever they want, the Ukrainians, short of nuclear weapons. And they will be, and troops yet, but they will get to troops. Ukraine will get to have foreign troops, which I suspect greatly that they are already on the Ukrainian territory, not as trainers or military so-called advisors. I think they're active combatants. And I support my statements with only one example. For instance, as an example, retired Colonel, U.S. Army Colonel Douglas McGregor, stated that the Ukrainians wouldn't have been capable of being trained on using HIMARS in a weekend or, sooner, or you need time to train someone, he said, according to this military general, never general because he was too outspoken and uncomfortable for the generals. So he said they need some time to be trained, months. He said only the driver of this HIMARS rockets, missile systems needs, according to him, about 1,100 tasks to be able to complete before has to handle those tasks before the missiles are launched. So I don't know if you use 1,000 moves or you need to be knowledgeable of all those moves. I'm assuming you have to be knowledgeable of those 1,100 or so tasks in order to be able to figure out what switches you push and who do you contact and whatever you touch on the screen and all that. Now, so that's what it is. Now they tell us we're gonna give them HIMARS capable of hitting most of the targets and Crimea. Russia said that's a red line and that is going to be a direct. They will consider United States a direct participant in the war. There were some statements made by Russia today on the 5th of October where they said if that occurs, that's considered active participation. Well, we'll see. We'll see if that's going to be. And we have here a statement from this woman here, who's a big shot, right, at the Pentagon, seems like, or wherever she is with Ukrainian arms deliveries, and she stated that. So unless the United States retracts that, which I don't think they will, and don't consider that as a mistake, because that's part of the mountain slope. They're almost there. The only thing they have to do right now is say, we're going to put military personnel in Ukraine to fight, defend Europe, and freedom, democracy, and love, and all that. You know the story. And airplanes to patrol. We're gonna call Ukraine a fly-free zone, and all that, like they did in Libya and other countries. So you can't fly your planes, but we can fly ours, basically. Now, this is the quote from Miss Cooper. And it's our assessment that with this existing GIMLRS guided multiple launch rocket systems capability that they have on the HIMARS and that we're providing more of, with this package that they can reach the vast majority of targets on the battlefield, Cooper said on Tuesday. Well, this is a direct quote from her. And here it's another quote, and this is vast majority of targets, including Crimea, and end quote. So they put Crimea in this first quote, can reach, and in the second quote, they didn't put Crimea. They said only a vast majority of targets on the battlefield. The thing I've seen Shoigu saying that thing about if you cross that red line, that's direct involvement. The remarks came as she announced the Biden administration additional security aid to Kiev, which she said is valued at up to $625 million, which I'm already sick because of hearing this, because they do it without asking anybody, and it's like we all support it. We don't support it, some of us, and what can we do? Vote in 2 years? You make me laugh. And which will contribute to meeting Ukraine's critical defense needs, end quote. And why are you the defender of Ukraine by what? Treaties or something? Why is it necessary? Because of freedom and democracy and love and happiness. And I'm quoting, in total, the United States has now committed more than $17.5 billion in security assistance weapons to Ukraine since the beginning of the Biden administration, including more than $16.8 billion since the beginning of Russia's invasion on February 24th. And they're bragging about it. They don't understand that that's putting salt on the wound for us citizens, because that money, instead of being used for our children or for us or for this country or for this infrastructure that's crumbling, when did you go to a school to see how fantastic it is? And most of them are built in 1960s, 50s and 60s, and they send 17.5 billion dollars to another country just like that. You just pooped some money and military equipment built with money, right? It says Moscow warns West against providing Kiev with arms. Shortly after Moscow kicked off the special operation of demilitarize and denazify Ukraine, the US and its allies responded by slapping package of severe sanctions against Russia and ramping up their military support for Ukraine. Moscow has repeatedly slammed the West for its weapon supplies to Kiev, with Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov warning that any weapon and any arms shipped on the Ukrainian territory would be considered a legitimate target by Russian military. Yeah, we got that. And it says, for her part, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova has recently stressed that, quote-unquote, Washington has once again demonstrated how much it has lost touch with reality, having actually become a party to the Ukrainian conflict. According to her, further evidence of this is the US Congress recently agreeing on the allocations of new assistance package to the Kiev regime worth more than $12 billion. They've been participate since, I mean, how do you consider a planner? Is the planner a participant? Yeah, because participant, yeah. Because when you build the road or you buy the how do you call it, the project, you buy all the plans. Who planned those? Who drew that? An engineer, right? So the engineer is directly participant. He gets money for that. He's the direct participant in the construction operation, if you want to, right? In the project. So the United States was in the project before 2014 of the coup, conducted, supported, and all that. Planner, you are in it. I don't know how to put it differently. Thank you very much for being, and why should I put it differently? I put it the way it is. You're a planner, you are involved. You supply my enemy with weapons. That's from the get-go. You are my enemy. What are you, just a, I don't know, a nice salesperson? It's about killing people here. But anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.